Welcome back. President Trump at the White House today hosting the president of South Korea, Lee Jae-myung, at the White House for a high-stakes summit to discuss trade and security. The New York Times is warning that China is looming large over this meeting, adding Washington's increased focus on Beijing, they claim, is straining the relationship between South Korea and the United States. It all comes as South Korea is reportedly trying to normalize relations with China, agreeing to boost cooperation on the economies. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, great to see you. Thanks for being here. What are you expecting from South Korea and this meeting today?
I think that Lee Jae-myung is not going to want to talk about China. You know, South Korea actually had its envoys in Beijing yesterday meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. They were delivering a letter for Xi Jinping saying how South Korea wanted to move closer to China. And the implication, of course, is that it wants to move away from the United States. Now, that is typical leftist foreign policy, Yi being a leftist himself. And then I think that people in Washington sort of view Yi's behavior with sort of amusement in the sense that they think that they can outlast Yi, as we have outlasted 3 previous leftist South Korean presidents. But that very well may be a mistake, because Yi is much more relentless and much more determined than his leftist predecessors. And we now have a China which is more aggressive. So we could have real problems in South Korea right now, even though we have a military alliance with South Korea, and it has been a foundation of North Asia security for 7 decades.
Yeah, President Trump's going to try to fix that. I want to get your take on the largest sovereign wealth fund. That is from Norway, Gordon, because, you know, so often we talk about the Chinese companies that trade on U.S. exchanges and the threat of them being pulled off those exchanges because they're bad actors and tied to the Chinese military. Well, now investments in Israel have taken center stage in Norway's election. And it's got a public debate underway on how the largest sovereign wealth fund operates. Since June 30th, 23 Israeli companies have been removed from Norway's sovereign wealth fund. They've taken center stage in the election. And Gordon, what's happening here is, you know, the fund bought Israeli companies during the Gaza war. Now there's all these activists telling the sovereign wealth fund they should need to pull these companies off of the sovereign wealth fund. Your reaction, and what do you know about this?
The most important thing here is that Israel is losing the propaganda war. There's talk about famine in Gaza and people going hungry, and that certainly is true. But the reason is Hamas, not Israel. But nonetheless, it is Israel being blamed, and that's why we're seeing in Norway this move to divest completely from Israeli companies. This is not a good thing. I mean, I think the Western world needs to stand with Israel. But the most important thing right now is for Israel to change this narrative. And by the way, China's propaganda war against the United States is intensifying. So what's happened to Israel could very well happen to the United States, as we already see it around the world, that Chinese narratives, which are absurd and ludicrous, are now gaining traction against us.
Yeah, Reuters is reporting that they're expecting more companies to come out and that the sovereign wealth fund will continue to do divestments there. We'll watch that. I thought it was an important story. Gordon, your thoughts on the current state of affairs between the U.S. and China? Let me get back to that, as we are still waiting on more clarity on a trade deal there.
Yes, and this is, I think, going to go on for quite some time. There's a 90-day pause until November 9th. But we know that the Chinese regime right now is in turmoil. And I don't think that anybody in Beijing is willing to make a significant decision on anything, which includes the trade deal. The last couple of days, the rumors in Beijing about personnel changes have gone to a crescendo. So we don't know where this is going. We'll get a hint on September 3, the big military parade, because we'll see who's on the reviewing stand at the Gate of Heavenly Peace. I think Xi Jinping will still be front and center, but I think that's because the party has yet to decide who's going to replace him. This is really consequential, perhaps the most important story in the world, and one which nobody has reported on except for you, because you have talked about this now for months.
Yeah, and Gordon, we want to know really how strong Xi Jinping really is going into this military parade and going into these negotiations with President Trump. It seems to me that President Trump has set the table here and he's setting the terms. But, you know, we still have lots of reliance on communist China.
Well, we do, and it's the rare earths. And the president is moving fast to reduce that reliance. And he's also working on pharmaceuticals and active pharmaceutical ingredients, the other area where we are vulnerable to Chinese action. But even with all of this, Maria, we still hold the high cards. And the question is whether President Trump is going to play them or not, whether we're going to play in trade as rough as the Chinese have played with us. Because right now, China is telling everybody that they hold the whip hand over the U.S., and I think President Trump needs to change that narrative by showing the Chinese that that's not right. But until President Trump does that, we are going to see the Chinese tell everybody that China now rules the world and that the U.S. is in terminal decline.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to fly across the world. But, Gordon, we're going to be watching it, certainly. Great to talk with you this morning, sir. Thank you. Gordon Chang on China this morning.